Namaste. Today I'm going to read Volume 1, Book 1, Vidyeshvara Samhita, Chapter 18, The Nature of Bondage and Liberation and the Glorification of the Phallic Emblem of Shiva in the Shiva Puran. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nidaveganam Kurumideva Samkaya Sushma Ekadantaya Vidme Vakratunda. Hari Om Tat Sat. The sages said, O foremost among those who know everything, please explain the nature of bondage and liberation. Sutta said, I shall explain bondage, liberation, and the means of liberation. Please listen attentively. A jiva is said to be in bondage if he is tied up by the noose of eightfold primary essences, prakriti, etc. When freed from them, he is called liberated. Perfect control and subjugation of prakriti and its offshoots is salvation. A jiva in bondage, when freed from, it is called a liberated soul. The set of 8 that binds is prakriti, buddhi, cosmic intellect, ahamkara, cosmic ego, of the nature of attributes, and the 5 tanmantras, cosmic principles of ether, etc. The body is evolved out of these 8. The body carries on activities. The activities generate the body. Thus, birth and activities continue in a series. The body is of 3 types, the gross, the subtle, and the causal. The gross body is responsible for all activities. The subtle body yields the enjoyment of pleasures through the senses. The causal body is for the sake of experiencing the good and the bad results of the activities of the jiva. The jiva experiences happiness as a result of virtue and misery as a result of sin. The jiva, bound by the rope of activities, revolves round and round forever, like a wheel by means of the 3 types of body and their activities. The creator of the wheel must be worshipped for the cessation of the revolution of the wheel. The prakriti, etc. constitute the great wheel, and Shiva is beyond the prakriti. The creator of the wheel is the Lord Shiva. He is beyond the prakriti. Just as a boy drinks or spits out water as he pleases, so also Shiva keeps prakriti, etc., just as he pleases. He is called Shiva because he has brought it under his control. Vasikrita. Shiva alone is omniscient, perfect, and free from desire. The mental prowess of Maheshvara, which Vedas alone can comprehend, consists of omniscient satiety, beginningless understanding, independence, never failing, and infinite power. Hence Prakriti, etc. come under control due to Shiva's grace. One shall worship Shiva alone for the acquisition of Shiva's grace. If one were to ask, how can there be a selfless worship of a perfect being? The answer is, an activity done with dedication to Shiva shall cause pleasure to him. Keeping Shiva in view, the devotee shall worship the phallic or the embodied image of Shiva or his devotee. He shall worship his devotee by means of the body, mind, speech, and money spent. Shiva, the great Lord, who is beyond Prakriti, is delighted at the worship and specially blesses the worshipper. The karma, etc. come under control gradually due to Shiva's grace, beginning with karma and ending with Prakriti when everything comes under control. The jiva is called liberated, and he shines as a self-realized person. By the grace of Shiva, when this body, which is resultant from activities, karmadiha, comes under control. The devotee attains residence in Shiva Loka. This is called Salokya, form of liberation. When the subtle elements come under control, the devotee attains nearness to Shiva. Then he attains similarity with Shiva by means of weapons and activities. This is called Sarupya. When the devotee acquires the great favor, the cosmic intellect too comes under control. The cosmic intellect is only an effect of the Prakriti. The control of intellect is called Sarasti, a form of liberation wherein the devotee has the same rank and power of Shiva. Then due to a further great favor of Shiva, the Prakriti comes under control. The mental prowess of Shiva becomes his without any difficulty. On acquiring the omniscience and prosperity of Shiva, the devotee becomes resplendent in his soul. This is called Sayujya, complete identity. By persons well versed in the Vedas and Agamas, traditional sacred texts, it is in this order that one gets salvation by the worship of the phallic image of Shiva. Hence, the devotee shall worship Shiva by performing sacred rites, etc., for the acquisition of Shiva's favor. Shiva's sacred rites, Shiva's penance, and the japas of Shiva mantras always. Knowledge of Shiva and meditation on him shall be practiced more and more. The time till retirement to bed, the time till death shall be spent in contemplating over Shiva. He shall adore Shiva by means of the sadhyo, mantras and flowers. He will attain welfare. The sages said, O excellent one of good rites, please explain the rules governing worship of Shiva in the phallic and other forms. Sutta said, I shall explain, O Brahmins, the procedure of the worship of the phallic form. Please listen. The first phallic form is the pranava that confers all desires. It is called sukshma pranava, the subtle one, if it is niskala. The stula, gross one, is sakala, and it consists of 5 constituent syllables. The worship of these two is called a penance. Both of them accord salvation. There are many phallic emblems of Purusa Prakriti. Shiva alone can explain them in detail. No one else, such as are evolved of earthly material, are known to me, which I shall explain to you all. These are of 5 types: Swayambhu, 2, Bindu, 3, Pratistita, 4, Kara, 5, Gurulinga. When he is gladdened by the austerities of devas and sages, Shiva, in the form of Nada, assumes the form of a seed under the ground, and suddenly piercing the ground above like a germinating sprout, manifests himself outside and makes his presence felt. Since this emblem is self-raised, it is called Swayambhu. By worshipping it, the devotee gains increasing knowledge automatically. In a gold or silver plate or on the ground or an altar, the devotee draws a picture of the phallic emblem, the pure pranava mantra, and shall invoke it with the rites of pratista and avahana. The bindu and nada forms, the stationary or mobile ones, are conceptual but belong to Shiva undoubtedly. Wherever Shiva is sincerely believed to be present, the Lord bestows on the devotee the benefit through that alone. The devotee can invoke the Lord in a natural, immobile thing, a rock, or a stump, or an engraved picture, and worship Shiva by the 16 upakaras, services, and homage. He will attain supreme power of the Lord and by practice gain knowledge. If the image is installed with pure mind in a pure altar, either by the gods or the sages for the realization of the soul, it is called Purusa, and it comes under the category of the installed phallic image of Shiva. By a regular worship of this phallic image, the devotee will obtain all Purusa Aisvaryas, human riches. If great Brahmins or rich kings install a linga prepared by the artisans, it is called Pratistita and Prakrita. It accords enjoyment of Pakrita and Aisvarya, natural riches, to the worshipper. That which is forceful and permanent is called Purusa. That which is weak and temporary is called Prakrita. The spiritual come mobile form is represented by the constituents of the body, viz. The penis, navel, tongue, the tip of the nose, hips, etc. The mountain comes under the Purusa class and the surface of the world under the Prakrita class. Trees, etc. are Purusa and creepers, etc. are Prakrita. The Sastika rice is Prakrita, but rice of the Sali variety and wheat are Purusa. The Aisvarya is Paurusa. It bestows eightfold siddhis, viz. Anima, etc. The Prakrita Linga bestows good women, riches, etc. according to the believers. Now first of all I shall mention the Rasalinga from among Karalingas. Rasalinga is mentioned as the foremost among mobile lingas. Rasalinga is a bestower of all wishes to the Brahmins. The auspicious Banalinga is a bestower of vast kingdoms in the Kshatriyas. To the Kshatriyas. A Golinga bestows the ownership of vast wealth on the Vaishyas. The Silalinga, a linga made of rock, bestows great purity on the Sudras. A crystal linga and a Banalinga bestows all sort of wishes on all. If a devotee does not possess a linga of his own, there is no harm in using another's linga for the purpose of worship. An earthly linga shall be used by women, especially by those whose husbands are alive. In the case of widows who are engaged in worldly and sacred rites, a crystal linga is recommended. O sages of good rites, in the cases of widows, whether they be in a childhood, youth, or old age, a rasalinga is specially recommended if they continue to be holding rites. A linga of pure crystal bestows all sorts of worldly enjoyment on women. The worship of the pedestal grants all cherished desires of the worshipper in this world. A ritualist shall perform all the worship in a vessel. And the conclusion of Abhisheka, ceremonial bath, the Naivedya, consisting of cooked rice of the Sali variety, shall be offered. When the worship is over, the linga shall be kept in a casket and placed separately in the house. Persons who worship their own lingas shall, after the worship is over, offer as food those articles of diet to which they are accustomed. All non-ritualists shall perform the subtle linga. All non-ritualists shall worship the subtle linga. In the place of floral offerings, they shall use sacred ash for adoration and food. They shall keep the linga after worship on their head forever. The ash is of three types, derived from ordinary fire, Vedic fire, and Shiva fire. The ash derived from ordinary fire shall be used for the purification of articles of mud, wood, or metals, and even for grains. Articles of worship like gingerly seeds, cloths, and stale stuffs shall be purified with ashes. So also the objects defiled by dogs, etc., the ashes shall be used with or without water according to necessity. The ashes resulting from Vedic rites in fire shall be smeared over the forehead at the end of the rites, since The ashes are purified by the mantras. The rite itself takes the form of the ashes. Hence, applying the ashes is tantamount to assimilating the sacred rite in one's own Atman. Bilva twigs shall be burnt, repeating the Atma mantra of Aghora. The fire is called Shiva Agni. The ashes resulting therefrom are called Shiva Agnija. The dung of a cow, preferably of Kapila cow, shall be burnt first, and then the twigs of Sami, Asvata, Palasa, Vata, Aragvada, or Bhilva shall be burnt. The ash resulting therefrom is also Shiva Agnija, or the twigs shall be burnt in Dharba fire, repeating Shiva mantra. After straining the ashes with cloth, the fire powder shall be put in a new pot. For the sake of resplendence, the ashes shall be taken. The word bhasma, ash, means that which is honored and adored. Shiva formerly did so. A king takes the essence of wealth by way of tax. In his kingdom, men burn plants and take the essence thereof. The gastric fire burns different kinds of foodstuffs, and with their essence nourishes the body. Similarly, the great Lord Shiva, the creator of the universe, burns the universe presided over by him and takes the essence of the same. After burning the universe, he applies the ashes over his body. Under the pretext of annihilation, he has taken the essence out of the same. He assigned the essence to his own body. The essence, Akasha, the ether, constitutes his hair. The essence of the wind principle constitutes his face. The essence of the fire principle constitutes his heart. That of the principles of waters, the hip, and that of the principles of the earth, the knees. Thus, the other limbs too. The Tripundraka, the three parallel lines of ash marks over the forehead, is the essence of Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. Similarly, Maheshvara has retained the essence of everything in the form of Tilaka, the small circular mark on the forehead. The word bhasma means that which has controlled the essence of the whole universe. Bha, vriddhi, flourishing essence. Sma, svayam, manyate, considers his own. The word Shiva signifies him who controls everything and whom none can control. Shivavasi, just as Simha signifies the creature who attacks other animals and whom other animals cannot attack, Simha equals Himsa. The word Shiva is given another interpretation. The syllable S means permanent bliss. The letter I means Purusa, the primordial male energy. The syllable Va means Shakti, the primordial female energy. A harmonious compound of these syllables is Shiva. The devotee shall likewise make his own soul a harmonious whole and worship Shiva. Ashes must first be smeared in the dust form and then in the Tripundraka form. At the time of worship, water is added to the ashes. For smear sanctification, the ashes are used without water. The devotee, whether it is day or night, whether it is a man or a woman, shall use water with the ashes and wear tripundra at the time of adoration. He who has the tripundra made of ashes with water and performs worship derives the entire benefit of the same. No one else. Wearing the ashes with Shiva's mantras, he comes out of the limitations of the ashramas. He is called Shivasrami, for he is solely devoted to Shiva. Being the devotee of Shiva and devoted to his sacred rites, he needs not observe impurity accruing from death or birth in the family. The characteristic sign of a devotee of Shiva is that he has a circular dot of white ash or mud put by himself or by his preceptor on the top of his forehead. The word guru, preceptor, signifies a person who wards off bad qualities. He removes all the ill effects of the rajasic qualities. He is the supreme Shiva himself. He is beyond the three gunas, and assuming the form of the preceptor removes the ill effects of the three gunas and makes the disciple understand Shiva. Hence, he is the preceptor of the disciples who have faith. Hence, the intelligent devotee shall know that the physical body of the preceptor is known as Gurulinga, the worship of which is service rendered to the preceptor. The word service means an obedience to the order through body, mind, and speech. A disciple with a pure soul shall of necessity carry out the order of the preceptor, risking his life and staking his possessions, even if the task is not within his power. The word shishya, disciple, means a person who is worthy of being ordered about, dedicating all he has, even his body, to the preceptor. The disciple shall offer his food first to the preceptor and then take his food with his permission. Verily, a disciple, in virtue of his being subjected to discipline, is a son unto the preceptor. Moreover, by means of his tongue as penis, he discharges the semen in the form of mantra in the vaginal passage of the ears, and begets the mantra putra in the form of disciple. The son shall therefore adore his preceptor as father unto him. The real father, the physical begetter, drowns the son in the ocean of worldly existence. But the preceptor, the giver of knowledge, the father of learning, enables him to cross that ocean. The disciple shall realize the difference between the two and worship the preceptor sincerely. The modes of worship of the preceptor are many. He can be given monetary gifts, he can be physically served, but the money shall be what is earned by the disciple. Since every limb of the preceptor is a phallus form, toe to the head, massaging the feet, presenting him with sandals, bathing him, offering food and money, and similar rites shall be performed to gratify him. Verily, the worship of the preceptor is worship of Shiva, the Supreme Soul. What remains after the preceptor has partaken of food shall be used by the disciple. It will purify him, just as Shiva's leaving of food can be taken by the devotee of Shiva, so also the disciple can take the leavings of the preceptor. Even food and water, O Brahmins, without the permission of the preceptor, anything taken is a theft. One shall accept as one's preceptor as person who knows many special things. Freedom from ignorance is the goal. Only a specialist can achieve that. In order to fulfill a task or a sacred rite, obstacles must be warded off. A rite performed without hindrances in the middle can be fruitful. The subsidiary rites shall also be performed. Hence, at the beginning of sacred rites, an intelligent man shall adore Ganesha. An intelligent man must worship all deities in order to ward off all sorts of hindrances. There are three types of hindrances. The first one, the adhyatmika hindrance, is the ailment of the body, whether it is a fever or a tremor or other types of sickness. The second type of hindrance is adhibhautika, extraneous, one of a physical nature, the visitations of pisachas, the outcome of anthills, etc., falling of lizards and other insects, the advent of tortoise inside the house, infesting of serpents, ultimately flowering of trees, deliveries in inauspicious hours, and other things indicate some future misery. Hence, these are called adhi-bhautika hindrances. The third type of hindrance is adhi-devika, divine calamities when lightning strikes, smallpox, cholera, plague, typhus, fever, and similar infectious diseases spread, and bad, awful dreams, evil planets affecting the birth star or rasi, sign of the zodiac, occur. These hindrances are called adhi-devika. In order to ward off these hindrances, and on occasions when one touches a corpse, a chandala, or a fallen man and goes inside without bathing, Shanti Yajna shall be performed to remove the evil effects. The precincts of a temple, a cowshed, a sanctuary, or one's own courtyard shall be selected for the performance of sacrifice. It shall be on a raised platform at least 2 hastas high. It shall be well decorated. Paddy weighing a bhara shall be spread on the ground to make a large circle. Diagrams of lotuses shall be made in the middle and in the 8 quarters on the border of the circle. A big pot round which a thread is tied shall be placed in the middle, and 8 other similar pots shall be placed in the 8 quarters. All of them shall be fumigated with gugulu. In the 8th pots, bunches of mango leaves shall be placed with dharba grass. They shall be filled with water, purified by mantras, and 5 kinds of articles. Precious gems shall be put in the 9 vessels, 1 on each. The sensible devotee shall ask his preceptor to preside as a priest. The presiding priest shall be accompanied by his wife. He shall be well versed in the rituals, gold idols of the guardians of the quarters, and Vishnu shall be put in the different vessels. Vishnu shall be invoked and worshipped in the central vessel. The respective guardians of the different quarters shall be worshipped in the vessels concerned, using the dative case after the name ending with nama. The invocation shall be performed by the presiding priest along with the Ritviks. He shall repeat the mantras 100 times. At the end of the japas, Homa shall be performed to the west of the vessel. According to the time, place, and convenience, the offerings in the fire may be a crore, 100,000, 1,000, or 108 in number. It shall be performed for a single day, for 9 days, or for 40 days. The sacrificial twigs shall be of sami tree. If the rite is intended for shanti, suppression of evil effects, or of palasa tree. If the rite is intended for the acquisition of livelihood, cooked rice and ghee shall also be used. The offering shall be made by repeating the names of the deities or mantras. The articles of worship used in the beginning shall be continued till the end. At the conclusion, the punya havanachana shall be performed, and the holy water sprinkled over the different members of the family. Brahmins, as many in number as the number of offerings made, shall be fed. O scholarly sages, the preceptor and the presiding priests shall partake of sacrificial food alone. The entire rite shall conclude after the worship of 9 planets. A gem along with monetary gifts shall be given to each of the Ritviks. Different types of gifts shall be made to deserving persons, to boys invested with sacred threads, to householders, sages, virgins, ladies, and widows. The materials used for the rite shall be given to the priests. Yama is the presiding deity of all calamities, grave diseases, etc. Hence, to gratify Yama, Kaladhana shall be made. A replica of Kala, god of death, in the form of a man holding noose and goad shall be made in gold using 110 niskas, gold coins. This shall be given as a gift along with the sacrificial fee. Gingerly seeds shall be gifted for the sake of longevity. Ghee or mirror shall be gifted for the sake of quelling ailments. Rich men shall feed 1,000 Brahmins. The poor shall feed 100 Brahmins. Indigent persons shall perform rites according to their capacity. For the quiescence of evil spirits, the great adoration of Bhairava shall be performed. At the conclusion, Mahabhisika and Naivedya shall be offered to Shiva. Then a public feeding of the Brahmins shall be held. By performing sacrifice in this way, there will be an alleviation of all defects and evils. This Shanti Yajna shall be performed every year in the month of Palguna. In regard to evil dreams and evil omens, this shall be performed instantly or definitely within a month. When one is defiled by a great sin, the worship of Bhairava shall be performed. In regard to great diseases like leprosy, etc., the vow shall first be taken and the sacrifice performed later on. Indigent persons wanting in all these things shall make gift of a lamp to the deity. If incapable of even that, he shall take bath and make any gift. Or he shall make obeisance to the sun god 108 times, repeating the mantras. The devotee shall perform prostrations and obeisance 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 or crore in number. All the deities are delighted by the obeisance sacrifice in this way. The obeisance is performed with the prayer, O Lord, thou art great and I am humble. My intellect is dedicated to thee. A void thing does not appeal to thee. I am no longer void. I am thy slave now. Whatever vestige of egoism remained in me has been dispelled on seeing thee. Namaskara, a sacrifice of the soul, shall be performed according to ability. Sacrificial food on betel leaves shall be offered to Shiva. The devotee himself shall perform 108 circumambulations of Shiva. Such circumambulations, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 or crore in number, he shall cause to be performed through others. All sins perish instantaneously at the circumambulation of Shiva. Sickness is the root cause of misery, and sin is the cause of sickness. Sins are said to be quelled by virtue. A sacred rite performed with Shiva in view is capable of removing all sins. Among the sacred rites of Shiva, the circumambulation leads the rest. Pranava is in the form of japa, and circumambulation is a physical rite. The pair of births and deaths constitute the illusory cycle. The Bhalipita of Shiva is symbolic of this Maya Chakra. Starting from pedestal, the devotee shall make circumambulation half the way and return to the pedestal and move anti-clockwise to the place where he stopped before, and returning to the pedestal, make the circle complete. This is the procedure of circumambulation. When the birth takes place, the obeisance, which is the dedication of the soul, prevents further birth. The pair of births and deaths originates from the Maya of Shiva. After such a dedication, the devotee is not born again. As long as the body exists, the jiva is dependent on activities and he is spoken of as being in bondage. But when the three forms of the physical body are under control, it is called salvation by the scholars. Shiva, the primary cause of causes, is the creator of Maya Chakra. He wipes off the Dvandva, birth and death, which originates from his Maya. The Dvandva is conceived and created by Shiva. It shall be dedicated to him. O scholars, it shall be known that circumambulation is highly pleasing to Shiva. The circumambulation and obeisance of Shiva, the great soul, and the adoration performed with 16 upacharas accord all benefits. There is no sin in the world which cannot be destroyed by circumambulation. Hence, one should dispel all sins by circumambulation alone. A person observing worship of Shiva shall observe silence and perform one of these: a sacred rite, penance, japa, maintenance of the knowledge or meditation. He shall observe truthfulness, etc., all sorts of riches, divine body, knowledge, removal of ignorance, and nearness to Shiva are the results of sacred rites. The sacred rite yields the benefit by the performance. It removes the darkness of ignorance. It wipes off future birth. By the achievement of true knowledge, the miseries shall seem as if they do not exist at all. The true devotee of Shiva shall observe the sacred rites, etc., in accordance with the place, time, physical ability, possession of wealth, as befitting his state. The intelligent devotee shall take up his residence in a holy center of Shiva, desist from violence to living beings, without exposing himself to undue strain, and spending only such wealth as he earns by legitimate means. Even water sanctified by the 5-syllable mantra is conducive to happiness like cooked food. Even the alms begged and acquired by an indigent devotee is conducive to perfect knowledge. Charitable food of a devotee of Shiva increases devotion to Shiva. Shiva yogins call such charitable food sacrificial offerings to Shiva. The devotee of Shiva shall always be scrupulous about the purity of his food. Wherever he stays and whatever means of sustenance he has, he shall observe silence and shall not disclose the secret. To the devotee he shall expound the greatness of Shiva. Only Shiva can know the secret of Shiva mantra, no one else. The devotee of Shiva shall always resort to the phallic emblem of Shiva. O Brahmins, one becomes Shiva by resorting to stationary phallic emblem. By worshipping the mobile phallic image, the liberation is certainly gradual. Thus I have mentioned the achievable and the excellent means of achievement. What has been mentioned formerly by Vyasa and what has been heard by me before has been mentioned to you. Welfare attend ye all. May our devotion to Shiva be stable and firm. O scholars, whoever reads this chapter by Shiva's grace and whoever listens to this always shall acquire the knowledge of Shiva. So I don't think this chapter has any footnotes. So I believe here ends today's reading of the Shiv Puran. Om Prabhu Prananatham Vyom Veshwanatham Jagannatanatham Saranantabhajan Bhutipatam Bhueshwaram Bhutanatham Shivam Shankaram Shambhu Meshanamide Om Kapura Kauram Karunavratanam Sansarasaram Bhujagendrahadam Sadavasantam Harida Vinde Bhavam Bhavami Saitam Nam Om Namah Parvati Pate Hara 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 Mahadev Om Hum Jum Sam Bhur Bhuvasva Om Trambakam Yajame Sukannam Pushtivaranam Urvarakam Vandhanad Miricham Kshamamratat Om Swaha Bhuvu Om Saha Jom Hom Om. Hari Om. Om Tuya Mata Chapitat Hari Om Tat Sat.